It's snowing! It's been snowing for a while! And it doesn't look like it's gonna stop. Which is gonna raise the question, do I go to my 4 o'clock class today? It is currently 15 minutes before 2:30, and it started snowing a little after 12:30. I have a 4:40 class tonight, and it goes until 6:30. So, I don't know how the weather is planning on being for the rest of the night. In reality, the weatherman states it's supposed to snow and then we're supposed to get rain. So it's going to turn into a slushy mess. Not everything is covered in snow. The roads, however, are starting to get piled up. But I have exactly an hour and a half left until I have to leave. And I currently have not been given an alert on my phone saying the campus is closed for bad weather. So I guess we'll just see how this plays out. I apologize, just hold on. Hello, welcome to the Wild Viewer, and welcome to day 10 of 25 Wild Christmas Review Days. We are at day 10. We've made it to 10 days. I'm getting really sick of sounding proud of myself that I'm making it through this project. It was my decision to do this. No one's making me do it. Today is a very special day, folks. We got a few things happening. It's snowing outside, which is giving me a little Christmas vibe because the way the clouds are and how it's a nice light snow that's eventually going to turn probably into a wet mess in a few hours. It's giving me a nice little Christmas vibe. And while I drove on the street earlier today, I drove by some houses that have Christmas stuff up, which is really interesting because we haven't even celebrated Thanksgiving yet. Even more interesting because one of the houses I drove by, I swear a few days ago they had Halloween stuff up because they were too lazy to take it down, and now they got elves in front of their house. And we got a very special episode today because I'm talking about a movie that I have never seen before. This is the first time I've ever seen today's topic. I was lucky enough to record it because they played it on Freeform a few days ago. I meant to watch it when it went live, but I wasn't able to because of other things I was doing, so I was lucky enough to record it. This is the first time I've ever seen this movie. That movie is Deck the Halls. Let's get into it. Released in 2006, this festive holiday comedy film focuses on a man named Stephen Finch, played by Matthew Broderick. He's an optimistic eye doctor who is considered Mr. Christmas in his town, as he has a specific set of Christmas traditions that he does with his family, and is even the unofficial and official consultant for anything Christmas related in his town. One Christmas season, however, his whole world is flipped upside down when a man named Buddy Hall, played by Danny DeVito, and his family move in right across the street. Buddy is very different from Steve, as while Steve has a very ordered life and does things a certain way, Buddy scams his way through everything that he does and can never follow through anything that he starts. This causes Buddy and Steve to have a big clash within their friendship, as Buddy is determined to get his house on a Google Earth website. They don't use Google Earth, they use something very similar. They kind of make something up, but you get the idea. He's determined to get his house to be seen on a Google Earth platform. So, to make sure that he's seen in space, he gets a bunch of colorful Christmas lights and lights up his whole entire house, which starts to get on Steve's nerve as it's very unprofessional for him, but he's also starting to get a little jealous. Eventually, as time goes by, Buddy is slowly becoming Mr. Christmas in the town, which is slowly making Steve more jealous and lose his temper a little bit, and try to prove everybody that he is still Mr. Christmas and that his tradition should go his way, mostly with his family. Although his family are enjoying being with the Halls family, the wives are getting along, the kids seem to be getting along just fine, but Steve is the only one that's having a problem. in the end, it becomes this one big battle to see who really is Mr. Christmas in this town. I forgot to mention that Buddy is also a car salesman. I mentioned Steve was an eye doctor. I should have mentioned what Buddy did, or at least what he's doing in this film, because he's had multiple jobs, and this is his new job that he's doing. I was very surprised to see how both good and cheesy this film was. And there's a reason I say both of those. Let me start with the good. I definitely got enjoyment from this film. Once you see this trailer, you know for a fact it's one of those films where two guys go head to head to see exactly who's better at what. The one thing that I definitely took away from this film after watching it was there was no bad guy in this film, which is interesting. Usually in films you can easily detect who the bad person was, who's our main character's main enemy, who's the antagonist of this film. And oddly enough, both Steve and Buddy are both the protagonist and antagonist of the film. There are moments where Buddy is coming off as a bad person towards Steve, but then there are moments where Steve is coming off as a bad person to Buddy. So it works very equally on how the characters relate to each other. They have their good moments and their bad moments, which I think actually works for this film, considering that it's, again, a film where two guys are going up against each other for really nothing. I mean, you're fighting over something that only happens once a year. I mean, after that, it's like, what else is there? So I think that works out very well. I like the dynamics of the film, the way the characters worked and everything. And generally, I was surprised on some funny and good moments in this film. It took a while for the comedy to kind of start out, especially for a 2000 film or a late 2000 film. I'll definitely say one of the parts I died laughing over was there's a scene, Steve and his family take a family photo every year near their fireplace, and they wear ugly sweaters, and the family notices across the street Buddy got a wooden sleigh and horses that he duct tape antlers on to make it look like reindeer pulling a sleigh. And as they all go over, you know, Steve's like, okay, we gotta take our photo, and then Buddy's wife says, you should take it here. This is the most Christmassy-ish setting there is. So they start putting a Santa outfit on Steve. Steve's like, no, I don't want to do this. Steve's son gets in the sleigh, and then he comes out because they find out the horses were stolen. And obviously we kind of know where this is going, because if you were to see the trailer, you know that Steve gets in a little predicament where the horses take off and Steve is stuck in the sleigh with these horses. So now Steve is being dragged all over town. Everyone's like running after him, like they're really gonna do anything because horses are running faster than all of them. And then Steve ends up on a lake, which is frozen over, but the ice breaks. And the horses are gone. They like the chain from the horses in the sleigh that broke off, and I couldn't stop laughing because as watching this, I'm realizing this guy just wanted to take a picture, and it escalated so poorly. And then the scene after that is also very funny, but I won't spoil that because it was just so unexpected. So if you're interested in seeing the film, I won't spoil that little part. But that is definitely worth having a laugh over. Overall, I thought the film was good. There are parts that are funny, some parts aren't very funny. I mentioned that it can be a little cheesy, and that's only because, you know, just by the time it came out, this was 2006. And when you think of all the films that came out around 2006, this can be very similar in the same format that these comedy films go out, which makes me understand why some people don't prefer comedies, because comedies are all kind of the same. And this film can definitely be considered as a children and family holiday film because it's only rated PG. So I think there's like one swear word and there's like a picture of nudity, but it's like for a brief moment and everything's like covered up. So it's supposed to be like an adult joke or something, but you know, with those kind of films, obviously they're going to put the most funniest parts of the film in the trailer, which I did see the trailer before I saw this, and I noticed that they put a lot of funny stuff in the trailer, and that's how they pull you into watching this film. The actual film wasn't as funny, and it had the typical kind of jokes that you can expect from a family film in 2006. and it had the goofy dads going one-on-one with each other. But yeah, some parts can be very cheesy. Some lines, you know, they're a bit predictable. That's really all I gotta say about Deck the Halls. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't consider it one of my favorite Christmas films like Santa Claus or Elf or The Grinch. I would aim it probably around where A Christmas Story is. Like, it's one of those films I could watch every year. I could watch it like once a year, maybe even twice a year, but I wouldn't consider it my favorite film, only because it doesn't have very memorable parts to it for me, except for that sleigh scene. That's the only thing that's really memorable that comes to mind with this film when I would think about it alone. Other than that, you know, it's a pretty good film. If you haven't seen it yet, I would definitely recommend you check it out. It's worth seeing. And yeah, that's really all I got to say about it. So with that all said, I want to hand it over to you now with some questions. That's right, you're being tested. Have you ever seen Deck the Halls? If not, are you interested in seeing it? Does it sound like a film that you would think you would enjoy? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. That's it for day 10 of 25 Wild Christmas Review Days. Join me tomorrow as I talk about another film that I will be seeing for the first time. I got a lot of firsts in this project, which is good. I want to see more Christmas films, and I hope they're all good. I hope this one I'm going to watch is good. Thanks for watching The Wild Review. I'm The Wild Reviewer, and you just saw me review a thing.